Hi, I'm Randy McLean, WayPoint Analytics. This is Jeannie Hurlburt from Hurlburt Consulting. And Jeannie's come out to visit with us today in Scottsdale to talk about some of the things that she's doing in concierge customer service, which we think is one of the critical elements of top companies to gain and maintain their customer base and to gain a competitive advantage, which is sustainable and very, very difficult for the competition to catch up with. So we've been watching with a great deal of interest in the kinds of things you've been doing in our client accounts, and I know you work in other accounts as well. And one of the crucial topics which really caught my interest is having a feedback mechanism from the concierge customer service people to the customers. And you know, I'm looking at some of the things you put together where the customer service people deal with problems and issues and opportunities that the top level accounts have. But recording these things and putting it into a report and giving it back to the customer, you know, once a month or something like that, I found a very, very powerful idea to provide some real benefits to the customer and to the company. So maybe you can tell us what some of those benefits are.
Well, the benefits are that what we see when we get data from these folks is that very often, I know you get my deliveries on time, I like your customer service people, but I'm not seeing the end benefits, the profitability increases and things like that, that many companies, many distribution companies are creating, but their clients aren't seeing it. And so if we can feed back to them, okay, this problem existed and here's how we solved it for you, and we can really track out what the implications of that are, then we can start to hammer into that. And that really is a challenge for a lot of businesses because people can see the direct impacts, but they have a harder time seeing the indirect impacts. So the more we can begin to document things and really start to lay out, oh, well, this is what could have happened and this is what did happen. And so we can really begin to show them how we are making an impact for them. That's incredibly important.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've seen in the past, or what I've realized, is that every time you have an angry customer, that's really a cry for help. That's a customer that is frustrated. In some way you haven't met their expectations. They have a reasonable, they think they have a reasonable expectation that we're not meeting. And they're telling us what it is.
That's right.
And you know, sometimes they're not very polite about it and can be pretty mean about it, but the reality is they really just want, you know, they're upset that it happened to them and they want it fixed. And so what's interesting is every time there's one of these negative events that happens with a customer, it's actually an opportunity to deepen your relationship with the customer.
Absolutely.
Because they will remember, they won't remember the million times that you shipped something on time, but they will remember what happened the one time that you didn't.
That's right.
And if the time that you didn't, you know, they called up, the whole problem was taken care of, everything was resolved within hours or, you know, a day or two. That's better service than they would get in a lot of places where they're just part of the mix and they're treated like every other customer. And so getting a feedback that says, you know, 3 times this month, there was something here, and this one time there was something wrong. We sent another truck out, you had the right stuff within 2 hours. This other time there was something, it was the wrong product that was ordered. We found out the right product for you, and we got it onto the truck so you'd have it first thing the next morning. And you know, they get this feedback from you, but not from your competition, about all the problems you've solved and all the things you've taken care of, and you've taken care of them quickly. That gives the customer a really good idea what has happened and what the tangible benefit of doing business with your firm is.
Absolutely. And if you can take that a step farther and begin to say to them, well, gosh, if we hadn't gotten it out on this truck within 2 hours, what would have been the cost of that to your company? Then you can start to get them to think through the way you really are making an impact on their business. Yeah,
that's a really good point. So it's quite interesting for them to feel and hear the benefits of this supposed service, the good service that you're providing, because everybody says they have good service, but you're the only company that's providing a report indicating what the service was. Right. And frankly, they may be unreasonable with you when they're angry, but you know, when they're saying, gee, you know, they'll be walking around their company and say, our supplier, your company, you know, solved this for us within 5 hours. And we could have never sold it in 5 hours for one of our customers. We're just not that organized.
Yeah.
And so that gives them some idea who they're dealing with and why there's, why your
Yes, it
company's a
does.
winner. So.
Well, and the other part of the feedback that you have to have is you have to know what their expectations are. And many of these companies don't. And you're exactly right. You mentioned that some people's expectations are unreasonable. Well, if that's the case, you need to know it and you need to know who they are so you can manage those expectations up front to try to create a situation where you avoid these problems.
Yeah, I agree with that. Plus, the recording of these things is a secondary mechanism for you to prioritize and triage the kinds of things that do go wrong. If you're looking at the reports from the customer service team and you're finding that 15 times this month we shipped the wrong product,
You got a problem.
then we know that there's a quality issue that needs to be addressed, and then we can go and address it through a good use of time, rather than, well, there was this one time that this one thing happened and we should make sure that it never happens again.
Right.
And we wound up spending $100 on solving a 10-cent problem.
Right.
So there isn't really a real problem there, but we're going to put systems on top of systems on top of systems to prevent something that happens once in a blue moon.
Right.
And so for good management by exception practices, you'd always want to make sure that you're putting your energy into solving things that recur regularly before you put in the things
Absolutely.
that hardly ever happen.
Absolutely. And our perceptions internally of how frequently things transpire aren't always the same as the hard data, particularly if you've got a customer who's reacting really strongly.
Yes.
It may be something that's an unusual event, but it becomes salient to you because the customer reacted so strongly. That's where we need data to combat our perceptions.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I love this idea of having a reporting loop for your concierge level customers, for your platinum accounts, that you can monitor, that people can monitor themselves, and so the customer has some feedback and we have a mechanism to remind the customer that we're doing something for them that they're not getting somewhere else.
Absolutely.
So that's a great point. I'm really pleased we had a chance to talk about that. So thank you very much for sharing your wisdom and knowledge with that, with me and with you. I hope this is something that you'll be able to think about in your own organization, and this may be a practice that you may consider putting into place so that you can get some of the benefits that Jeannie's clients get doing this. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thanks, Randy.
And thank you very much. We hope to see you in future videos.